Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. And today I just got done working on my 1999 Chevy K3500. And what we did with that was we changed the lower ball joints. Look at this crappy thing, just flopping around. We changed upper ball joints. Actually, we didn't change upper ball joints. We changed the whole A-arm, upper ball joints and all. We also changed tie rods on both sides, inners and outers. All of them changed, gone. We're good to go, taking it down tomorrow to get an alignment. So anyways, it wasn't too bad of a day. I ripped my pants, I stripped out a couple bolts, I broke a bunch of tools, but overall, it was a pretty good frickin' day. I was sitting here in the shop, and I was just cleaning up, putting all my tools away, which I rarely do, and I started thinking. And you know, if I start thinking, it's not a good thing. But anyways, I started thinking, what would be my top 5 tools that I would use on any vehicle I repaired? Any kind of repair, doesn't matter what it is. My top 5 tools I'm going to grab every time, 99% of the time. So this is it, my top 5 mechanic tools when I'm working on a vehicle in my shop. My number 1 tool, anytime I'm working on a vehicle, I grab this tool every time, and that would be this socket set from Harbor Freight. And this is a Pittsburgh 21-piece go-through socket set. And I know what you're thinking, man, that ain't a mechanic set. It isn't, but I'm not a mechanic. I'm a YouTube mechanic, so this will work just fine. It's got, it's a 3/8 drive, and it goes, let's see, I don't know what it goes. It's SAE Metric. It goes from 5/16 to like 3/4, and then like 10 millimeter through 19 millimeter. Something like that. It's got an extension, it's got an adapter, and it's got a through socket, which is reversible. Whatever. That's my number 1 tool. Anytime I work on anything, I grab this tool. I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with it, and it ends up working out pretty good. So that's number 1. Number 2 is this Pittsburgh Impact Set that comes in a plastic case, and let's see if we can get what it's got inside here. And when I first bought this set, I thought it was going to be pretty awesome, but turns out it's missing a lot of sockets. Like for instance, it'll go from 1 inch down to I think it's 3/4. No, there's 1 inch, 15/16, 7/8, and 13/16. Then it flips over the metric and goes 15, 17, 21, and 22 on 1/2 inch, and then it's got some smaller ones like this. And it just kind of skips sizes, like this, just like they just grabbed random sockets and threw it in there. So you're missing a lot of sockets. It's got a 13, it's got a 14. It's got most of your major ones, but it does end up missing a lot. You end up going to other places to get different sockets. It's got an adapter, a 3/8 to 1/2 inch adapter in it. It's got extension in it, 3/8 extension. It's got a 1/2 inch extension. And it's got some small ones that I've never used before. A small 8 millimeter, and it goes 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 17. And then it goes 3/4, 11/16, 5/8, 9/16, 1/2 inch, 7/16, 3/8, and 5/16 on the small ones, on the 3/8 drives, which is pretty good, but I've not used none of that stuff so far. So this thing cost me like 29 bucks at Harbor Freight, of course. And I've had it for a while. I used it a lot, but it does seem to be missing a lot of socket. It comes in this nice little case, which is pretty cool, but it seems to be getting used a lot lately. Number 3 is going to be this 3/8 drive breaker bar that I broke today. This is one of the tools I broke today. I was trying to take off a, what was it? The axle nut that holds this, the spindle on, the rotor. And it was torqued about 150 foot-pounds, and I put the 36 millimeter on it, and I cranked it and never did. It just snapped that thing right off. So this will be going back to Harbor Freight and hopefully getting another one. Probably shouldn't have used the 3/8 drive on that, but I didn't have a 1/2 inch drive. It worked on the other side, didn't break. I took the other side off and it was fine. But this thing I've been using a lot. I use this a lot. I mean, pretty much every time I got to break a bolt, if I can get this on it, I use it. So it's a pretty good wrench for small stuff. I guess 150-pound axle nuts isn't that good. 17.5 inches long is what it measures at. 17.5 inches long. Number 4 is this ratchet right here. This is the extendable ratchet. It says it extends up to 13.5 inches. Let's find out if it does. And yeah, it's actually about a smidgen. It's about 13 3/4. So we'll take their word for it. It extends out. It's got 3 different positions where it locks into. At 13.5, has a 3/8 head on one side and a 1/4 inch head on the other side, if you can see that. And the cool thing about this is because it extends, you know, you can get it into tighter areas, but if you need it to use it like a mini breaker bar, a 3/8 breaker bar, you get a lot more leverage with this. So I end up using this a lot behind this socket set right here. You know, I grab this one when I go, but this is usually in my back pocket as I'm walking out to the job itself. Number 5 is going to be, I just picked this thing up too. This is a Porter cable impact, I guess it would call it an impact wrench. 450 foot-pounds of torque. I picked this up at Tractor Supply. I had an air one that was 250, and I was trying to drive the lower ball joints out of the spindle, and the 250 wasn't doing it, so I just went and bought this so I could get them pumped out. This thing cost me $79 at Tractor Supply, and I've only had it for a week, but so far so good. I mean, I normally wouldn't buy Porter cable. I've heard a lot of horror stories about their tools, but so far nothing bad, and so far it's done everything I've asked it to do. It's a little bit bulky. I wish it was smaller. It's big and it's freaking heavy. I wish it was smaller. It's hard to get in a tight area, so besides taking off lug nuts, and if you got a lot of room, you know, you're not getting it in the tight areas to use it all the time. So, but I have been using it a lot over the last 2 weeks, and so far I'm happy with it. I wouldn't have guessed I'd have bought Porter cable, but there it is. Okay, so the last thing isn't really a tool, but it does get used a lot, and that would be PB Blaster. PB Blaster, it can be a tool, man. You take this, spray it on a couple days before you're getting ready to work, it'll do miracles for you. Of course, if you strip the bolts out, you're pretty much screwed, but that's it. PB Blaster. So that's it. That's my 5 tools that I grab every time I'm working on a vehicle. Pretty much. I mean, 99% of the time it's going to be these 5 tools, and four of them come from Harbor Freight. So, okay guys, that's going to do it for this video. If you like what you see, go into the comments, tell me what you think. Subscribe, like. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Number 3 is going to be this 3/8 drive breaker bar that I broke today. This is one of the tools I broke today. I was trying to take off a, what was it? The axle nut that holds this, the spindle on, the rotor. And it was torqued about 150 foot-pounds, and I put, you know, it's 3/8 drive. I put the 36 millimeter on it, and I fucking, ooh, I swore.